When we hear about angels and demons, we automatically associate the former with good and the latter with evil. However, did you know that there are such angels that you would rather fate meet you with a demon? Moses himself turns to God with a prayer after his meeting with such an angel, with the words,
"Oh, may it be your will, my God, and the God of my fathers, that you do not let me fall into the hands of this angel."
Let's take a closer look at why Moses was so terrified. What do other religions say about these angels? Are they really that terrifying, or is it just that the work they are allocated to do is incommodious to us humans? In this video, we will explore some of the most terrifying angels by tracing their portrayal across religions. Azrael. Azrael is the angel of death. He is responsible for transporting the souls of the deceased after their death. In Islam and Judaism, it is said that he holds a scroll affecting the fate of mortals, inscribing and erasing their names at birth and death respectively. Depending on the occasion and the religions, he is also depicted as an inhabitant of the third heaven, a subdivision of heaven in Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. In Islam, he is one of 4 archangels and is identified with the Quranic Malak Amat, angel of death, which corresponds to the Hebrew term Malaha Mavet in rabbinic literature. In Hebrew, Azrael translates to angel of God or help from God. Let us trace the etymology of this image in Judaism. Archaeological finds found at Jewish settlements in Mesopotamia confirm that Azrael's name was indeed used in Aramaic incantation texts from the 7th century. However, since the text only lists names, it is not possible to say whether Azrael was associated with death before the advent of Islam. After the advent of Islam, the name Azrael became popular in Jewish and Islamic literature, as well as in folklore. However, he does not act independently, but is only informed by God when the time comes to take the soul. In the Quran and their exegesis, Surah 32 verse 11 speaks of an angel of death identified with Azrael.
When the unbelievers in hell cry out for help, an angel will appear on the horizon and tell them that they have to stay.
Other verses of the Quran speak of many angels of death. According to exegesis, these verses refer to lesser angels of death subordinate to Azrael. They assist the archangel in the performance of his duties. Tafsir al-Baidawi mentions a host of angels of death that are subordinate to Azrael. In hadiths and their exegesis, according to Muslim tradition, 40 days before a person's death, God drops a leaf from a tree under the heavenly throne, on which Azrael reads the name of the person he is to take with him. Al-Qurtubi shares a comment from the classical scholar Ibn Jafar Wayaj that Azrael is blue in color and has many eyes in many places. According to Ikrimah Maula ibn Abbas, another scholar, Azrael's size was so enormous that if the earth were placed on his shoulder, it would be like a bean in an open field. He had 4,000 wings, which consisted of 2 types, wings of grace and wings of punishment. The wings of punishment are made of iron rods, hooks, and scissors. The angel possessed 70,000 legs. Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, the caliph of Umayyad dynasty, shared an account that the angel of death was armed with a flaming whip. It's so huge it looks like the throne bearers, a group of angels known as the largest of angels. The Islamic Book of the Dead describes him with 4 faces, and his entire body consists of eyes and tongues, the number of which corresponds to the number of people inhabiting the earth. A connection between Azrael and death. According to some scholars, Azrael and death are one. Others believe that Azrael and death are different entities, with death being more of a tool used by Azrael to take life. A narrative originating from Muqatil ibn Sulaiman sheds a little more light on death and its connection with Azrael. There, it is said that the angel and death are one, for the angel is said to have as many faces and hands on his body as there are living beings. Each of these faces and hands is associated with the life of every soul in the living world. When any face of Azrael's body disappears, then the soul that is connected to it will experience death. There is also a related interpretation here by several groups of modern Islamic scholars, from Imam Muhammad ibn Saud. The Islamic University has issued a fatwa that takes the interpretation of Ibn Kathir regarding the Quran chapter Al-An'am verse 61 and a hadith narrated by Abu Hurairah and Ibn Abbas. The angel of death has subordinate angels who help him take souls. The 8th Umayyad Caliph Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz said of Azrael in the Quran chapter As-Sajda, verse 11, Quran 32, verse 11, that the taking of many lives is very easy for the angel, and that in the words of the Caliph, it is as if all mankind on earth were a mere dish on his plate, from the angel of death's point of view. In folklore, Azrael is an angel who has a colossal involvement in people's daily existence. According to one popular belief, the lesser angels of death are for ordinary people, while saints and prophets meet the archangel of death himself. Great prophets such as Moses and Muhammad were politely invited by him, but saints are also said to meet Azrael. It is said that when Rumi was about to die, he lay down on his bed and met Azrael in human form. The belief has to do with the angel appearing to the saints before they died to prepare them for death. We also find confirmation of this in Nasir Khushra's will, in which he claims to have met Azrael in his sleep and informed him of his impending demise. Samael. Samael translates as the poison of God. He is a figure who is an accuser, an adversary, a seducer, and a destroyer. Many of his functions match the Christian image of Satan, so much so that he is sometimes identified as a fallen angel. However, it is accepted that ultimately his actions also lead to good, such as the destruction of sinners, as far as that can be called a good thing. In Midrashic texts, he is portrayed as a member of the heavenly host with dark and destructive duties. One of Samael's most significant roles in Jewish lore is that of Archangel of Death and the head of the Satans. However, he remains one of God's servants. He appears frequently in the story of the Garden of Eden and inspired the fall of Adam and Eve with the serpent in writings from the Second Temple period. However, the serpent does not represent the form of Samael, but a beast that he rides. A version is also presented in a narrative that he is the father of Cain, as well as the partner of Lilith. In early Talmudic and Midrashic literature, he is not yet identified with Satan. Only in the later Midrashes, he is presented as the head of all Satans. As the guardian angel and prince of Rome, he is the sworn enemy of Israel. Towards the beginning of Jewish culture in Europe, Samael was established as a representative of Christianity due to his identification with Rome. In some Gnostic cosmologies, Samael's role was the source of evil, as identified with Demiurge, the creator of the material world. Although both accounts probably derive from the same source, the Gnostic development differs from the Jewish account of Samael, in which he is simply an angel and servant of God. We trace the image in Judaism. Samael is first mentioned during the Second Temple period and immediately after its destruction. He is first mentioned in the book of Enoch, along with other rebellious angels. In Enoch 1, he is one of the Watchers who descend to earth to mate with human women. A detailed video about the Book of Enoch and the fallen angels can be found on our channel. In the Greek Apocalypse of Baruch, Samael is the dominant evil figure. He plants the tree of knowledge, after which he is banished and cursed by God. To get revenge, he tempts Adam and Eve to sin. Here, unlike in the Midrashic texts, he takes the form of a serpent. He also appears as the embodiment of evil in Isaiah's ascension, often re-identified as the serpent. In Talmudic, Midrashistic literature, the role of Samael as a conduit of evil is rather marginal, but from the 5th or 6th century onwards, this name again becomes one of the most significant among demonic entities. In Exodus, the servant Samael is presented as the accuser in the heavenly court and the tempter to sin, while Michael defends the actions of Israel, where Samael is identified with Satan because of the role of the accuser. He also fulfills the role of the angel of death, coming to take the soul of Moses, and is called the leader of the Satanists. The title Satan is also given to him in the Midrash Perkei de Rabbi Eliezer, where he is the leader of the fallen angels and 12-winged seraphim. According to Scripture, Samael opposes the creation of Adam and descends to earth to tempt him into evil. Riding the serpent, he persuades Eve to eat the forbidden fruit. Kabbalah. In the Kabbalah, A.E. Wayite 255, Samael is described as the severity of God and is listed as the fifth of the archangels of the Bria world. Under his patronage to Esau, the men are inherent in the sword and war, the goats and the serim, demons, and the destroying angels. Although Samael and Lilith are major demons in earlier Jewish traditions, they do not appear as a couple until the second half of the 13th century, when they are represented together. Lilith is a demon created with Adam. She was originally created for the role Eve will play, but after the appearance of Eve, she became the wife of Samael. Together with her, he creates many demonic children. In the Kabbalistic work, Treatise on the Left Emanation, Samael is part of the Qliphoth, prince of all demons and consort of Lilith. The two are said to be parallels of Adam and Eve, emanating together from the throne of glory as a counterpart. According to the treatise, God castrated Samael so that he would not fill the world with demonic offspring, and this became the reason for Lilith's watch to fornicate with men. Another tradition, according to the apocryphal Gedolat Moshe, Apocalypse of Moses, the ascension of Moses, Samael is mentioned as being in the seventh heaven. In the last heaven, Moses saw two angels, each 500 parasangs high, forged from chains of black and red fire, the angels Af and Hema, wrath, which God created at the beginning of the world to do his will. Moses was troubled when he looked at them, but Metatron embraced him and said,
Moses, beloved of God, do not be afraid and do not be dismayed.
And Moses calmed down. In the seventh heaven, there was another angel, different in appearance from all the others. He had a terrible countenance. His height was so great that it would take 500 years to walk a distance equal to him, and from the top of his head to the soles of his feet, he was showered with shining eyes.
This,
said Metatron, turning to Moses,
is Samael, who takes away the soul of man. Where is he going now?
Asked Moses, and Metatron answered,
To take the soul of the pious Job.
Then Moses prayed to God with the following words,
Oh, may it be your will, my God and the God of my fathers, that you do not let me fall into the hands of this angel.
To these angels ultimately fell the most unpleasant task. As the saying goes, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. Perhaps the fact that they are the end of everything earthly for us makes them the scariest thing a person will ever face.
Have you ever heard the story of the epic battle between the Archangel Michael and Satan himself? It is a story that has thrilled believers for centuries, and at its heart lies a mystery that has not yet been fully resolved. This story is directly related to the body of Moses, the great prophet and leader of the Israelites, and to the fierce struggle that took place between Michael and Satan for the place of his burial. While the details of this event are shrouded in mystery, its implications have left deep imprints in excited researchers and believers alike for generations. Join us as we explore the exciting story of the battle between Michael and Satan over the body of Moses, revealing the secrets and wisdom it contains. The story of Michael's dispute with Satan over the body of Moses is found in the book of Jude, which is a short letter written by a follower of Jesus to a group of believers in the early church. The letter contains warnings about false teachers and encourages believers to remain faithful to the truth. In Jude chapter 1 verse 9, the author briefly mentions at an event that occurs nowhere else in the Bible: Michael and Satan arguing over the body of Moses. But the archangel Michael, when he was arguing with the devil about the body of Moses, did not dare to pronounce against him a blasphemous verdict, but said, "May God rebuke you." Despite the brevity of the passage, This event has attracted the attention of believers for centuries, and many have tried to uncover its meaning and importance. The context surrounding it is no less important, as it sheds light on Michael's character and role as an archangel. Also, the story of Moses' death and his burial place has its own significance, as it emphasizes the importance of honoring God and not idolizing holy places. The controversy over the body of Moses. The laconic mention of the event has led to much speculation among believers as to what actually happened. Some suggest that Satan wanted to turn the burial place of Moses into a shrine, which in turn would lead the Israelites to idolatry. This theory is supported by the fact there are numerous examples in the Old Testament of the Israelites turning to idol worship, and the importance of avoiding this type of behavior is emphasized throughout the Bible. Another theory is that Satan wanted to prevent Moses' body from being properly buried and honored, which would be a way to dishonor Moses and to undermine the faith of the Israelites. This theory is also supported by the fact that throughout the Bible, proper burial and honoring of the dead is considered very important. Regardless of the exact reason for the dispute, the passage makes it clear that Michael and Satan were engaged in a fierce spiritual battle over the body of the great prophet and leader of the Israelites. This battle highlights the reality of spiritual warfare and the importance of believers standing firm against the enemy's attacks. To honor God and not allow sacred places or objects to become idols. While we may never know the full extent of what happened during this event, its implications are profound, as we can see are a gateway to broader themes such as faith and spiritual warfare that are major themes throughout the Bible. As we continue to explore the story of Michael and Satan's struggle over the body of Moses, it's time to remind you that you can support us by subscribing to our channel. The history of this dispute also sheds light on the significance and role of Michael as an archangel. In the Bible, Michael is depicted as a mighty warrior angel who fights against evil and protects God's people. In the book of Daniel, he's described as the Prince of Israel, and in Revelation chapter 12, verses 7 through 9, he is shown as the leader of the heavenly armies against the forces of Satan. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels went out to fight against the dragon, and the dragon made war with his angels. However, they did not overcome, nor was a place found for them in heaven. And the great serpent was cast down, that serpent of old, which is called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole universe. He was cast down to the earth. Cast down was he and his angels with him. However, despite his great power and authority, Michael does not dare to act alone. In Jude chapter 1 verse 9, we see him submitting to God's authority and simply saying to Satan, "The Lord reproves you." This shows Michael's deep respect and submission to God, even amid a fierce battle. This obedience is an important lesson for believers today. It serves as a reminder that even when faced with trials and spiritual battles, they must rely on God's strength and guidance. The situation also serves as a reminder of the importance of humility and submission to God's authority, even when it seems difficult or counterintuitive. The death of Moses. The death of Moses is a significant event in the Bible, not only because of his status as a revered leader of the Israelites, but also because it is directly related to the controversy that took place over his body. According to Deuteronomy 34, Moses died at the age of 120, shortly after God showed him the Promised Land. Although he was not allowed to enter the land itself, he was able to view it from afar before he died. Then Moses went up from the fields of Moab to Mount Nebo, to the top of the Pisgah, which is opposite Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead as far as Dan, all the land of Naphtali, the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah as far as the western sea. And the Lord said to him, "This is the land for which I swear to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, I will give it to your offspring. I made you see it with your eyes, but you will not pass through it." And so the Lord's servant Moses died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. God personally buries Moses in an unknown location, and Michael and Satan begin a dispute over his body. This suggests that Moses was highly respected and honored even in death, and that his burial was of great importance to the people of Israel. Moses was not just an ordinary leader, but a prophet and messenger of God. His life and teachings are central to the faith of both Jews and Christians, and his legacy has endured for thousands of years. As we reflect on the story of Moses' death and his dispute over his body, we are reminded of the importance of honoring and respecting those who came before us. The story seems to be a reminder of the power of spiritual struggle and the need to remain steadfast in our principles, even in the face of opposition and adversity. One of the most intriguing aspects of the account of Moses' death is the mystery surrounding his burial site. According to Deuteronomy chapter 34, verse 6, God personally buried Moses in an unknown place, and to this day, no one knows where his burial place is. And the Lord buried him in the valley in the land of Moab, opposite Beth-Figor, and to this day, no one knows where his grave is. At first glance, this secret may seem puzzling, but it actually serves an important purpose. If the burial site of Moses was known, it is very possible that people would have turned it into a shrine or place of worship, potentially leading to idolatry and the worship of Moses himself. As the spiritual leader of the Israelites, Michael was aware of this danger and fought to keep the burial site a secret. This symbolizes a hidden lesson about the importance of safeguarding spiritual practices and beliefs, and the need to remain vigilant against the influence of false idols and other forms of spiritual deception. In addition to the secrecy surrounding the burial place emphasizes the importance of honor and respect for the deceased. By keeping this place hidden, God ensured that Moses' legacy would not be tarnished by the veneration of his physical remains, but would be remembered for his teachings and leadership. One of the most remarkable aspects of Michael's character is his complete submission to God. Throughout the Bible, he is shown to be completely obedient to God's will, never daring to act or speak on his own authority. This humility and obedience are seen as a powerful example addressed to believers that they should follow in their lives. The theme of submission is echoed throughout the Bible, with numerous passages emphasizing the importance of surrendering to God's will. In James chapter 4, verse 7, believers are instructed to obey God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. This passage emphasizes the connection between obedience to God and victory over evil, illustrating the importance of humility and obedience in seeking spiritual truth. Submission to God's authority. In Daniel chapter 10, verse 21, Michael is called the guardian of the people of Israel. The archangel is represented as a warrior angel. He is depicted as a powerful being who confronts evil spirits and principalities. In the case of Michael, although he is an archangel, he could fight Satan in his own power. He chooses to speak for the Lord and leave all reproof to God. This shows that even the most powerful beings in the spiritual realm recognize the need to obey God. The example of the Archangel Michael serves as a reminder that submission to God's authority does not take away an individual's own power, purpose, or worth. On the contrary, it allows one to act in the fullness of his power and to live according to his will. The most interesting fact is that the passage composed of only a few words in the story of this dispute about the body of Moses and the role of the Archangel Michael carries all these messages. Just one sentence that has served for centuries as a powerful lesson in submission to God's authority. Michael's example teaches believers that even the most powerful beings in the spiritual realm are subject to God's will, and believers should follow their example. The Bible is a book with many hidden and coded messages subject to different interpretations. Perhaps the most fascinating thing about such writings is the fact that sometimes just one line can carry one of the most important, life-changing messages of the believer. If you like this video, support us by subscribing to the channel and leaving a comment.